I've been communicating with a viewer about wiring a quad so that it can fly either iNav or Ardocopter interchangeably without much of a hassle. The problem is the wiring for the 4 motors has a different motor order. Luckily, the 2 firmwares do have the same prop rotation direction, but the numbering of the motors is totally different. And we were discussing how to remap those motor orderings. In Ardocopter, it's extremely simple and works for anything. There's no problems at all, period. Any copter, hexacopter, T configuration, X configuration, etc., etc., etc. In iNav, they have a mixer wizard for a quadcopter in the X configuration only. Even a quadcopter in the T configuration no longer has a way to reorder the motors easily. My point in this video was just to show him a little way I use to check platforms for the first time, because when you're reordering the motor order, you never know what kind of behavior you're going to get the first time you try to fly it. And I use this piece of plywood. It's 3 feet, a little more than 3 feet, like 37¾ inches by 2 feet, maybe 26 inches this direction. It was just a scrap was laying around one day. There is a way to check motor order, etc., 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 by taking all the props off, turning them upside down and rotating them 90 degrees around the platform and putting them back on. And if everything is set up correctly, the props will actually be pushing the platform down into the surface when you're running up power. The problem with that is if things aren't set up properly, you've got a prop in the wrong position, it's going to try to flip over. So I tried that, and also with it that way, it can actually still go right or left, forward or backwards, and bump into something and break a prop in the shop. So I didn't use that method but about twice. And I started using this method. And this method is simply to tie wrap the platform down to this piece of plywood such that you can apply power to it, and then using your RC controls you can try to pick up the back of it and see if the back of this picks up. These tie wraps are rather tight, or you can tell it to go to the right and see if it tries to go to the right, and tell it to go to the left, see if it tries to go to the left, forward, rotating in yaw, and there's just no way the thing's going to go anywhere. I did this with the Hexa. It was 6 big motors, 12-inch props, even at full power. This doesn't let it go anywhere, and I've never broken a tie wrap. I hope if one breaks, they all don't immediately break, but I've never had that. Also, this is a great way to do your calibration for your current sensor. I use this power monitor on that block of oak. It's really heavy, because when you calibrate your current sensors, and they tell you to do the trick where you take your props off, turn them upside down, move this one to here, this one to there, that one to here, this one to there, and it'll push down. That probably works good at the point you're doing your current sensor calibration, because you've already got your prop directions right, your motor directions right, and you've tested it a little bit for this and know that your radio's right. I still don't like it. I want it secured down. So this connects in. The battery connects over here. You read this power meter. You have to run the platform up over half throttle about 2/3, 3/4 throttle for just the long enough to read the current on the current meter here, and then change the perimeter inside our rchelp so that your current sensor matches. You can simply read across these two lugs here for voltage while it's under load. See, I like to do the voltage while the motors are under half load to calibrate my voltage too. And voltage can be measured across, whereas current has to be in series with the current flow. So you can put a meter on these while you're at half power on this, and that voltage you read is going to be pretty good for when you're flying at half power. So I use this piece of plywood for many, many different things. But again, with the tie wraps a little bit looser, you can see how, and with the props pushing down on this board, it's not going to lift the board. Nothing's going to go anywhere. So this was just sort of to help one viewer who we're trying to make sure we get a quad flying either iNav or rchelp interchangeably without having to rewire it. And some of the safety things when showing a new motor order that might not be correct. I think this kind of system's best for first tests. I mean, it could be as simple as an RC channel reverse. You go forward and the platform lifts up in the front instead of in the back. Again, these tie wraps are too tight to show much movement, but you understand what's going on here. And I thought while I was making this video, I would just share it with everybody. I'm surprised this piece of wood hasn't been seen. This has been around for ages and ages and ages that I've been doing this method. And next time I've got a quad, I've got the Hexa over there to try to maiden again. I'll actually show a functioning vertical on this so I can show you completely how it works. All right, guys, thanks a lot.